Hey everybody, it is Gordon Majak here, back with another episode of Timeless Pop, Rock, and Soul, and more importantly, back with part 2 of our big Peter Cetera. Happy birthday to you! Celebration. Peter Cetera, my main man, my inspiration of so much of my musical efforts over the years, including wanting to be a bass player, wanting to be a musician in the first place. That was because of Peter Cetera. What an inspiration. You're the inspiration, Peter Cetera. Let me tell you that right now. We started the big birthday party here with a song from Peter's first solo album in 1981. That was that rockin' little number, Livin' in the Limelight, there a little while ago in the previous video. Well, now we're going to go back to, is this my favorite Chicago album, or is it just one of about 2 or 3 favorites? I don't know. It might be my favorite. I think it might be my favorite. From 1974, this is the legendary classic Chicago VII. So much great stuff on this album, including a couple Peter Cetera compositions, a song called Happy Man, there's a Chicago classic, and another song called Wishing You Were Here, there's another Chicago classic. But we're going to go to yet another Chicago classic, and that was a song that was written by the band's trumpet player, Lee Loughnane, in 1974, a song called Call on Me. Now, here's why I was clearing my throat. There are a couple different accounts of this song, but here's what we do know for a fact. In 1974, Chicago was in the studio working on this album, and all of the members of the band were contributing material. Well, Chicago's trumpet player, Lee Loughnane, had yet to write a song for the band, and he brought in a song called Call on Me. Well, the band hated it, okay? Everybody agrees on that. The band hated it and told him to get that song the heck out of here. Lee tucked his tail between his legs and said, okay, never mind. Peter Cetera saw some potential in that song, Call on Me. He took it home, played with it a little bit, changed some things around, added some lyrics, worked on the lyrics a little bit, brought it back in. And not only did the band suddenly embrace it and record it, it goes on to become a Chicago classic and a staple of their live shows. So if we go from we hate it, get that song out of here, to yeah, we'll record it and it's a staple of our shows, apparently some work was done on that number. But according to some folks behind the scenes, Peter Cetera was not necessarily acknowledged for that work. Perhaps he should have received a co-songwriting credit. Who knows? Who can dispute these things between artists, the way these things go between band members and artists? You never know who did what, but I'm just saying, Peter Cetera might have picked up a songwriting credit on this one, but he didn't. We'll give the credit where it goes to Lee Loughnane, but nevertheless, all Peter Cetera did was turn around and own this mother, laying down a super tasty bass line on this song, and one of his best, one of his signature Chicago vocal performances. And if you were, like me, a teenager back there, I was 16 in the summer of 74. Man, between buying this record and cranking this one on the album all the time on the stereo at home and then hearing it on the radio there in the summer of 74, this was just about the quintessential jazz rock Chicago sound of the 70s, all rolled up in about 4 minutes. And Peter Cetera all over this bad boy. Let's jump right to it. Let's hear it. We'll never know what Peter added or didn't add to Call on Me, but one thing we do know, he kicked this mother. Okay, now there's a moment here in this song, one of those signature timeless pop, rock, and soul great moments in pop history. They come out of this instrumental break in which they're doing this jammin' Latin groove, and Peter Cetera's all over that bass in his usual funky, soulful, melodic style. They come out of this rhythm break and they go back into the third verse there. And Peter Cetera is going to do this little climbing vocal lick. You've got to find. And at the same time, he's doing that little vocal lick going up the mountain there. He's doing a little descending lick on the bass. Ba-dum bum 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 bum. Now, how a human being can program their brain to play going down the scale and sing going up the scale simultaneously and so smoothly and so beautifully, I'll never know. And don't tell me it was separate tracks, because I saw the brother do it live a number of times. He did it live, folks. It's just freaking talent. The great Peter Cetera on bass and vocals. Let's back up and hear that little thing again. You'll hear it coming out of the break. Check this out. It just occurred to me, we're just going to have to do a whole separate episode at some point for this song, because this song is just so epic and so legendary, even within the Chicago catalog. And I would argue within the broader realm of pop rock music in general. This is the summer of '74, folks. Nobody was playing music that sounded like this, and certainly not on the damn radio, okay? And Chicago pulls up with this one, Call on Me. It's a top 10 hit. It's a Chicago classic. And Peter Cetera, man, one of the all-timers there, one of the all-time great bassist vocalists, certainly Paul McCartney's the first call on that for the great bassist vocalist category. But man, you take Paul out of the picture, I'm not sure who else we got left standing that back in the day especially could compete with the great Peter Cetera. A two-way threat. And there he is on Call on Me, laying down that soulful, melodic bass line and singing the hell out of those lyrics as well. Peter Cetera in Chicago, Call on Me. That's just part 2 of the birthday party rolls on here in the next episode. Let's jump back over to Peter's solo career and see what else he did back there in the day. Let's do that. Happy birthday, Mr. Cetera. You look marvelous. All right, coming back with more Peter Cetera. We're going to have to do an extra episode some other time on, you know what we should do? I should just do a whole freaking thing on Chicago VII, this record. Because that is truly one of my all-time favorite albums. I think it might be my favorite Chicago album, and I have so many memories and so many stories around this record. We may just come back to that. I haven't even touched the Peter Cetera songs on their album yet. All right, that's in another episode. But we're coming back with more Peter Cetera solo. And Peter Cetera, happy birthday. Number 78, man, what a career. This guy, he gets with Chicago in 1967, and he was already an established star on the local music scene there in the city of Chicago prior to joining the band. Well, they weren't even Chicago then. What a career, though. Mid 60s, all the way up to what? He just stepped out of the scene here a couple years ago. What an incredible run for Peter Cetera. Of course, the primary part of his solo career there runs into the early 2000s when he was still doing albums and everything and writing music. So quite an extended run for Peter Cetera. And like I say, one of my main guys, man, what an inspiration back in the day. For me on the music scene, Peter Cetera. Coming back with more birthday music for Mr. Cetera. See you in the next one. Let's do another one. Yep, you better believe it.